Now, for joining us now to discuss Donald Trump's stunning victory, his VOA national correspondent Jim Malone, whose election recap we just aired a moment ago, and back with us today is Washington-based African political analyst Emira Woods. What a shocker! Emira and Jim, welcome.
Hi, Vincent.
Yeah, let me start with you, Emira. First, how did you respond and react to this when you finally kind of woke up to this reality?
Well, we stayed up and were dismayed. I think it's the word, dismayed as we saw the results. And quite frankly, there's a lot of unknowns. What we do know is that it's Clinton who has won the popular vote. Trump has won the electoral vote, and that's what counts. The voters have spoken, as your reporter so well said, right? Yeah. And there's a lot in terms of who will be in critical positions that impact the world, who will be and what will be the type of policies right from the start in the first 100 days. I mean, you know, there's a lot to be seen.
And we'll talk about that a little more. But Jim, let's go back to the question of the electoral vote, the electoral college vote, and the popular vote. So many of our viewers sometimes get really confused. What does that mean? I mean, Hillary gets a popular vote, Trump gets the electoral vote.
Well, it's a confirmation of our process, which is that the popular vote does not elect the president. What elects the president is accumulating state-by-state electoral college votes. Now, that's based on the population of the state. And Americans have made their peace with this. And in this election, it's actually going to be easier to look at it than, say, the 2000 election, where there was a few hundred votes in Florida that separated Al Gore from George W. Bush. What we saw here was a clear, resounding message through a number of what we call the battleground states, upper Midwest, states from Pennsylvania west through Ohio, Michigan, Wisconsin, the industrial heartland of the United States. This is where Trump made his play for support, and he got his voters out in big numbers. A lot of those races were fairly close, but he won a lot of those states. So you had a cascading effect that allowed him to win the Electoral College vote, and it will be sort of a footnote that Hillary Clinton is leading in the popular vote.
Yes. I want to stay with you for just a second. The question of polls, you know, Donald Trump kept saying, you know, these phony polls. Can people take those polls seriously anymore?
Well, so it reminds me of a line from a movie where you hear somebody say, you got a lot of explaining to do. Yeah, I mean, most of the pollsters, the election experts, the pundits were wrong. A lot of them are admitting that this morning here in the United States. And there'll be a tremendous review to try to figure out why. And herein lies some of the secrets of why we were shocked, I think, is looking at who came out for Donald Trump, why we didn't know about them ahead of time or why they didn't appear on the radar. This is an important part. It's part of our democracy, and it's, to a great extent, white working class, many of them older voters, flexing their political muscle. In a way, it's the inversion election from 8 years ago.
This is clear, right? So I think what happened with the Obama phenomena is that Obama extended the electorate, particularly to progressives, to people of color, to young people. And quite frankly, that Obama strength was lost this time around. And instead, what you had was Trump expanding the electorate to primarily white, male, rural. You know, so race was a key element.
It was key. But you know, that those also were thinking history will be made again. President Obama became the first black person to become president. But people hoped that Hillary Clinton will become the first female president. And you know, we're watching now, you know, on the screen here. Question is that some people may ask, did the woman vote fail Hillary Clinton here?
Well, I think what you had was an electorate that wanted change, that demanded change.
Hold on. Let's first watch Hillary Clinton give a. Okay, go ahead. I thought that we're getting, you know, some feed from her, but
so ultimately, this electorate wanted change. Had it, you know, this was an electorate that was thirsting for a Bernie Sanders, even an Elizabeth Warren. Had it been a candidate that inspired the voters to that degree, having that inspirational message of this is the vision of the future. I think it would have been a different result today, right? But we have to, as we are all saying, look forward, right? Not what led us to this point, but now that we're at this point, what does that mean for people of color in the U.S., for immigrants in the U.S., but also what does it mean for the rest of the world? And to what extent does the world now have to dig deep to find hope and to strategize around issues like climate change, issues like the global economy and what it means for people's daily lives? I mean, this is ultimately our task for today.